Hi, and welcome back to the Ascension Playground. My name is Ursie, and you're probably wondering, oh, she's got a new background. Well, I am starting to let myself share some of these very large paintings that I've been working on for the last 2.5 years, maybe even 3 or 4 years, to just start bringing them forward. It's time. So in this particular painting behind me, you're going to see the same unity star grid, only smaller. It's at a center point of this larger geometric shape. And I have a little story I want to share with you about that shape. But first, you'll also notice this round double rainbow is what I'm calling it. And then we've got some blue water-like space, and then a gorgeous gold. And I'm sitting in front of the geometry, and it almost looks like I have a halo. And if you know me, you know that that's kind of a funny joke. But anyway, I thought I'd put myself in the paintings so that I would start talking and sharing about them. So way back in 2015, I've been on this long journey and quest for all things metaphysical and deeply esoteric. And I was sitting in a class at my teacher's house. His name is Randy Masters, and he's an expert on mathematics, music of the spheres, and sacred geometry. Well, I'm in his class taking notes, and there's people all around sitting in chairs. And wouldn't you know it, from the back, from behind me, I feel this finger come and kind of poke the back of my heart. And I was like, eh. And I turned around and I'm like, who's poking me? And there was no one there, of course. Instead, it was an image of this shape, which is really, here's a hexagonal shape. Maybe I should get up so you can see it. Here we go. Bum, bum, bum. So this is a very specific geometry. I know this is kind of strange. I'm moving myself out, but you can see here's the center. I always make this cross of matter. I always call it the cross of Christ first. But what we have is 2 pentagons that are abutted. And then we have these connection points to make the exterior look like a hexagonal shape. So it's got the pentahexa, in other words, the 5 and the 6 going together. Well, back to me being in class. So I'm such a studious person. I'm like, oh, hello. I'm taking my notes, and I get that poke behind my heart, and I was like, ah. And when I turned around, a woman had taken the same shape and had done a large quilt. And I was like, oh my goodness, pay attention, pay attention. So I asked Randy, I go, what's with that image? And so he started talking to me about how this is a divine temple blueprint for a temple in Egypt called the Osirion. So it's a temple in Abydos, Egypt, called the Osirion. And wouldn't you know it, the Osirion, it was named after Osiris, the god of the dead. But don't get all freaked out. He was more about this, his story was about being killed by his brother and then put back together by Isis, who then was able to have a son with him named Horus. So it's this idea of death, rebirth, and transfiguration. So anyway, I've been on this journey to find out, why was I poked in the back of my heart? And I used to think, uh-oh, was it a ghost? Was it a spirit? But now in 2022, I really sense it was perhaps either a past or a future self of my own, kind of saying, pay attention from your heart, feel into the geometry. And I was thinking, wow, I'm a figure painter, and this is all basically geometries. And so I went with it. And so since about 2015 till now, 2022, it's been nonstop playing with angles and pentagons, hexagons. You'll see this blue shape that I've painted, which certainly reminds me of like studying about the Merkaba or Merkaba. It's this light vehicle that many of us may have studied to learn how to activate your own Merkaba so you can go travel interdimensionally. Now, if I'm really in the too deep of a woo, you can always switch the channel, but I'm telling myself, come out now, it's time. It's time to bring forward these technologies that go way back to ancient Egypt. This temple has some fascinating stories too. Its doors opened to the constellation of Cygnus, the swan. And the beautiful love story was that Osiris would like to waken up once a year to the rising of the swan. And the swan for him was his beloved Isis. So old stories, right? But don't they feel a little biblical as well? Like the story of Cain and Abel, the two brothers, one killing the other. But in this case, Osiris is reborn with the support and love of his beloved Isis, who happened to also be his sister, but we won't get there too soon, okay? So these are like metaphors, creation metaphors. And I've loved looking at Genesis, Isis, the genes, Isis. So I've been tracking the geometry and allowing myself to play. And why the, kind of childlike rainbow is because the Tibetan teachings about this idea of the rainbow light body. It's time. So I took the rainbow light body, this double rainbow, and I put it with this very, very specific hexagonal and pentagonal geometry. And so I'm putting the masculine, very straight line with the feminine fluid, water, organic fluid shapes, along with the playfulness of a child. And me with my halo. Anyway, I thought I would keep this painting up for a while on the playground. I just wanted to tell you the backstory that I'm starting to feel more comfortable talking and sharing. And I've been on this journey and I want to tell myself, okay, it's safe. You can start talking about your passions with painting and not worrying about the judgment, because if this is not your cup of tea, that's okay. But someone might understand that, oh, in fact, I've had people tell me in the chat room that when they meditate, they'll see the 64-point unity grid. This is a star. So as I sit in front of it, it should be hitting me about the center of my head or in through my pineal gland, which is the third eye. Okay, that's about all I've got for you today. It's just a little mini, but if you too are a creative artist or creative in your own way, it's okay to share. In fact, I think our world needs it now more than ever to rebalance some of this other energy that's going on. So I'm going to call all creatives, come share your creativity with me. We had Haruko Blue Star. I'd like to have her come back and sing for us on the playground in front of her amazing angelic codes, her light codes of drawings with the bunny. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now. For anyone listening today who needs a big hug, given everything happening in the world, please know that there is a hug within just a whisper away. Sit still Take a deep breath in and let it flow out. And do that 3 times. And you'll be amazed how giving yourself 3 clear breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, just releases anything that's not serving you in this now moment. Okay? There is support. It's just a breath away, a perception shift. I acknowledge there's a lot going on. You could be up against it, and you're at a choice point as well. And so am I. Which do we choose in this moment? Do you want to just find the center? Because you have love over here and you have fear here. And if either one seems too extreme, you can just take those 3 deep breaths and just choose to find the center. And may light and this peace guide each of us during this incredible time that in some way we know our souls wanted to be here. So, my friends, enjoy the ride. And if it's a choice point, go ahead. Choose the center. Namaste. And see you next time on the Ascension Playground. Bye for now.